Hey friends, Martyupnorth. Hope everybody's doing well. Hey, I just wanted to talk about a really quick hack, something that you might find interesting. Um, so I just came back from a hike. I went to Willmore Wilderness with Jeff and JT. And, whenever I go on hikes, especially long ones, I worry about certain things, right? You've seen some of my videos on risk assessments and my thoughts around managing risks while hiking. And on a long hike, one of the risks I always worry about is something like having a catastrophic boot failure. If I have a failure like a tent peg, I can repair that, a tent pole. Worst comes to worst, I can sleep under the stars. A mattress that deflates is no big deal. Injuries are a problem, but we're talking gear-wise, a bit of loss of food, things like that. But I often worry about a catastrophic failure of a boot or the loss of a boot. So, and I'll talk about both. I mean, here's a boot that's been resoled, and you can see there's some delaminating going on right now, and so potentially I could lose a sole. So that's one failure. Another failure is I might get a major hole or something, but there's also the real risk that I could lose a boot. You wonder how. Well, you leave your boots under your tent during the night or somewhere, and a porcupine walks away with it, and that's no joke. That's happened. So I've often wondered, what would I do in terms of a catastrophic boot failure? And I thought, well, maybe I wrap it in duct tape or do something. But we had an interesting experience on this hike. On this one, I brought Crocs, but I also knew we were going to have a lot of river fords, and so I brought my water shoes. And you've seen me with these water shoes and with the Crocs in the past. But on this trip, Jeff, my buddy, had problems with his feet, and one day he spent an entire day walking in his Crocs. And what he did is that he took his boots, which were giving him absolute grief, and he reached inside his boot. I'm gonna try and do it. He reached inside his boot, and I'm gonna do it with this boot. He reached inside his boot and he took out his sole, his insole, and he put his insole in his water shoe, because without the insole, the water shoes are pretty thin and you feel every rock that you're stepping on. But he put his insoles in his water shoe, and then he walked an entire day in these things. In fact, he walked 3 days in these things. He walked 60 kilometers. And I had one day where my feet were getting kind of sore, and we had a lot of fords on one of those days. So I walked in these for about 10 kilometers one day. So it was a revelation for me, which is, so going forward, I'm not bringing these anymore. And in fact, these are slightly lighter than this. But going forward, I'm only bringing these water shoes because they're great for fording creeks, but they can also be used around camp. If you don't want the insoles, you can still walk around camp. Or you can take the insoles out of your other boots and put them in here, or just bring an extra pair of insoles, these weigh next to nothing, and put them in here. So now you got a shoe that can be used for fording rivers, for walking around camp, and in an absolute emergency, these things can get you out. So if you have a catastrophic boot failure, again, you could get out barefoot. I mean, I went to Nepal and I saw people hiking barefoot. I went to Nepal and I saw people hiking in Crocs. But my revelation, the epiphany on this trip, was that these water shoes with a good pair of insoles can get you out of a bind. That's a little bit of advice. That's something new that I learned on this trip, and I just wanted to share it with everyone, and hope you enjoy this video. Share your comments, please, on the whole concept of boots and water shoes and how you might manage that risk, and we'll go from there. Anyways, it's a nice day. I'm all packed, and tomorrow morning I'm leaving and I'm going on a 4-day hike solo. And I'm not gonna reveal where I'm going, but I'm trying to get somewhere that I've been a couple of times, and if I do get there, I hope I get there, you guys are gonna love this one. Cheers folks, Marty saying get off the beaten path.